If you're currently doing cold email outreach for your company and you're trying to use job hiring signals as a way to find people who are a good fit for your company, then listen up because this tool that I just found that I'm going to do a review of today does a really good job of scraping a lot of job posts, a huge quantity of job posts, and the quality is really good because the filtering compared to the other tools that you can use is bar none the best filtering that I've found to be useful for building cold email campaigns that target jobs. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get into it. And let me show you what the tool is and I can give you an in-depth overview of how it works. Okay, so I should be sharing my screen now. And the tool that I'm going to be talking about today is called TheirStack. And before I go in detail on why I like this software, I just want to talk about the other ways you can currently scrape job hiring posts. So the most common way is to probably use Apify, where you can use Apify scrapers to scrape jobs from Indeed. You can scrape jobs from LinkedIn Jobs, and you can even scrape jobs from Monster. And this is actually a great tool to use. Apify scrapers are very cheap and they give you a lot of data for a good price, and for the most part, it's very accurate. But the problem I find with using Apify is the data itself. It's tough to really filter through the data, especially when it comes to timeframes. Here's what I mean by this. Let's say you're running outreach for a staffing recruitment agency. For staffing recruitment agency, when you're trying to find more clients, a really effective strategy is to target people who have open job roles for their company that have been open for a long time. And the longer that these job roles have been available for, the more likelihood of a higher pain point and the more likelihood that they're in need of your staffing recruitment agency to help them fulfill their job roles. So when doing outreach for staffing recruitment, the longer that the job's been open for, the better the signal is and the more likely higher the pain point is, which is great for your conversion rates. And when scraping a tool such as Indeed doesn't do really good with timestamps. You can only scrape jobs that have been available for the past 24 hours, the past week, or 30 plus days. And while this isn't the worst thing ever, if you want to create more highly targeted campaigns for, let's just say, job roles that have been available for 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, stuff like that, it gets very difficult to do that when scraping Indeed through Apify. That's where TheirStack comes into play, where you can actually do really good in-depth filtering, and we're about to play around with those settings in just a minute here. But here's TheirStack. And as you can see here, TheirStack, it's a platform that scrapes over 355,000 sources globally around the world, and it gives 234 million plus job postings. What's different about TheirStack is that it extracts tech data directly from job listings themselves instead of using like a front-end crawler. So this process is more daunting and it's more manual and it's very expensive, but it returns back way more accurate and better quality of results, which is where we're able to use those filtering that I'm talking about, the advanced filtering that really helps with more highly targeted campaigns. And so the one downside of using TheirStack versus an Apify scraper or Apollo or Clay or Bitscale, whatever you get your job hiring post data from, is that the downside for TheirStack is that it's a little more expensive, but it's for a good reason because the quality of data you get back is way better in quality. And like I said, like the filtering you can use is you're able to be way more specific with your campaigns, which is great and will increase conversion rates. The one thing I like to note on the pricing, as you can see here, they have two different sorts of pricing where you can use the app or you can use their API or webhooks. And so if you look over here on the app, it's $109 for 1,000 credits. And if you look, it comes about to a little over a penny per credit versus if we use the API webhooks over here for 1,500 credits, it's only $49 per month. And if you do the math on that, $49 per month for 1,500 API credits, it's way cheaper than the app where it's about $0.019 per credit. So my recommendation is that if you're going to use this tool, I recommend using the API webhook instead of the app itself. For our demo today, I'm going to be showing you the app side of things because it's a way better user interface. You can actually see the different filters that we'll use. But what I do for my own campaigns is if you're using Clay, Bitscale, Claude Code, whatever it may be, you can just hook up the API from TheirStack to whatever platform you're using. Me, for example, I'm currently using Claude Code for my email campaigns. And so what I did was I just set up the TheirStack MCP. It took me literally like less than 2 minutes. It was very easy. You just have to plug in a few API keys. And from there, I'm able to use Claude Code, or from there, I'm able to use TheirStack from my Claude Code. and it is significantly cheaper. I just tell Claude Code what filters I want to use, and I tell Claude Code like the exact filters and like industry and company size, all those different filters, and it'll return back for me the data, and it's a lot cheaper. So I recommend you using the API credits and the webhooks if you're going to actually use this app, because it's a lot cheaper and you will save more money. All right, but let me log in here, and let's go create a sample search so you can just see the capabilities of this software and exactly how you can use it. So my favorite feature of all is, if you look at the posted date here, there's different variations. You can do the last 24 hours, last 7 days, last 30 days. But unlike other tools such as Clay or such as Scraping Indeed with Appify, you can get the last 3 months, the last 12 months, even the last 2 years. As crazy as that sounds, there's way more different time frames. But my favorite thing to do is just to do either custom number of days, where you can say, show me job postings from the last 30 to 60 days. Or you can do custom date range, which for this example, let's just do the custom date range. And so today is August 25th that I'm filming this video. And let's go back a little bit and let's go to maybe June. Let's do June 25th is the first posted date, from June 25th to July 25th. So basically the past 1 to 2 months, we want to see what jobs have been available since that were posted between June 25th and July 25th. So for job location, you can really go in depth here and go city by city. So for this, let's do Atlanta, Georgia, but let's do areas surrounding Atlanta too. Let's add Macon. We can do Alpharetta. There's Alpharetta. And we can do other states too. Let's add Charleston, South Carolina. And so as you see, the list goes on and on. We can do different countries. We can do different cities. We can do multiple cities. We can do states. We can do countries. All that stuff. Then for job titles, obviously we can keep this very vague for the example, but this is where you just put in the exact role that you're targeting for. If you have like a go-to-market SaaS company, you'd be targeting maybe people who are hiring for SDRs or BDRs. Or maybe if you had like an HR SaaS, you'd be looking for people who are hiring HR managers, stuff like that. For this example, let me just see companies who are hiring for registered nurses. This is a really important filter right here. As you can see here, job closed. So one thing that you should know about TheirStack is that they actually document job postings from all the way back until 2021. As you can see over here, they have 234 million plus job postings dating all the way back to 2021, over 195 countries. So that's good for some campaigns. But if you're doing something for staffing and recruiting, when you're trying to look for open job roles that have not been fulfilled, make sure to toggle this to job closed is no. That way, it's only going to show us job roles that are currently open and have not been fulfilled yet. So just be very careful with that if you're trying to target like SDRs or BDRs or companies that are hiring for a specific role. However, if you're trying to create a campaign where you're trying to see the history of archived job postings for other companies, this can also be a handy tool for that as well. This is the certain filtering that I'm talking about that it just isn't present on other job scraping tools such as Clay, BitScale, or Appify. And so I'm going to click search here. And as you can see, as it tries to load, only a bunch of jobs come up, and they're currently empty here. Like in order to reveal them, it costs a credit, which we can reveal this one, for example. And this one is Horizon Care Partners, and they're hiring for registered home nurse in Atlanta, Georgia. This is just an example of what comes up, but let me add even more filters. So look at all the different filters you can add here. So if we go over here to company, there's company name, company description. Number of employees is a really big filter. So for this example, maybe we just keep it between, let's just stick with SMB companies. So let's go between 200, and then let's also add another one here. So employees is greater than 200, and let's make it less than 1,000. So that should already make our search filter more specific. You can see here all the other filters, the company headquarters country, the company funding, you have the company industry, their LinkedIn URL, all these different things. Also with the job posting itself, you can filter if it has a hiring manager or not. So we can add that as well. So let's just say has a hiring manager is yes. Although in some cases you might not want a hiring manager if you're doing something like staffing or recruiting. But for this example, let's just say yes. And while that's loading, you can see here, you can do a discover date, annual salary, filter by salary. That's another good filter. And yeah, there's all these different filters you can play around with to get a really good, highly target list. So as you can see here, we have results of about 115 results, a total of 5 pages. And keep in mind, it's just a really small area. We're only doing like 4 different cities, I think, for this one. Obviously, if you're to go nationwide or worldwide, there'd be even more results. This is just for Atlanta, Georgia, Macon, and a few other little towns. And plus, we have really, as you can see here, we have really targeted the job posting date has to be available between June 24th to July 24th. So that's a really targeted list. Same thing with the employee size, between 200 to 1,000. That's also making our list really highly targeted. And one last thing I want to note here is if you look, some of these come up as staffing and recruiting. Like there's a staffing and recruitment firm right here. There's two right here. There's two more right here. And so obviously if we're doing this for staffing and recruiting and we're trying to target hospitals and healthcare that are, hiring for registered nurses, there's also a filter that we can add to exclude staffing and recruitment. So let me do that real quickly before we finish. I'm going to go to add filter. I'm going to go to company. I'm going to go to company type. And as you can see, our company type is recruiting agency or direct employer. I'm going to choose direct employer. I'm going to click search one last time. And as you can see here, now it gives us a finalized list of 56 results for registered nurses. And as you can see here, they're all hospitals and healthcare. There's no more staffing and recruitment agencies. And so this is what a result would look like if you're looking for small to medium-sized hospitals that are hiring for registered nurses in the Atlanta area with employee sizes between 200 to 1,000, and that have been available for the past 1 to 2 months between June 24th and July 24th. And so from here, you'd be able to reveal some. You'd get the company names, Mia Aesthetics, Peachford Hospital, all these other companies, and you'd be able to export this as a CSV, upload it to a tool such as Apollo or Prospeo, and find people in these companies with appropriate job titles to reach out to, enrich their emails, verify their emails with a tool such as Million Verifier, and then upload them to a tool such as Instantly or Cloud Code and create some personalized copy. And from there, you'll be able to reach out to them. And so this is a tool that I really like using for my outreach, especially when I'm targeting job hiring signals, and especially if I'm doing it on behalf of a staffing or recruitment agency. I will say I still run normal generic job hiring campaigns where I scrape Appify, or I use Appify to scrape Indeed and LinkedIn Jobs. But this is another campaign, or this is another tool that I use to run other campaigns that are more highly targeted and more specific, which is where TheirStack is really good at doing, because the filtering, as you can see, is just next level compared to the other platforms that you can use. And so I recommend, if you're trying to do cold email outreach and you're trying to use job hiring as an intent signal, which is a great intent signal to begin with, I would recommend using Appify and doing the generic LinkedIn list and the generic Indeed list, and even Monster if you want to as well. But I would use a tool such as TheirStack to also run simultaneously highly targeted campaigns as well to people who really fit your ICP, and people who are having a huge pain point, that have had job roles that have been open for over 1 month, 2 months, even 3 months. Because while the volume won't be as much, or the TAM won't be as high as the generic Indeed or the generic Appify scrapes that you'll do, the intent signal will be very specific. And from there, you should be able to get really good conversion rates, as long as your copy also is very personalized and really hits into the pain point. That's all I got for today. If you need help with your company sending cold emails and generating more leads through cold email, click the link down below and book a call with me. And from there, we can get on a call and I can understand more about your business. And from there, I'll be able to help you scale and get more leads with cold email using tools such as TheirStack. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Have a good day.